try to keep it short. Okay, we are going to take it from the top. Should I look at, okay, I'm going to pull up my notes so I can read and we can just
Okay, sounds good.
move on. All righty. You'll advance the slides?
Yes.
Okay, good. So then that way I can just do it. All right. Okay. Well, good evening, families, and thank you for joining us for November's Go Live. We do see you at Breakthrough Schools as our powerful partners. And so we want to welcome you and to our tonight's show. We try to keep it brief and family friendly. And so tonight we'll be discussing our scholars' needs beyond breakthrough. And I've invited our Chief of Alumni Success to tell us more about this a little later. But for now, we'd like for you to drop the name of the campus that your scholars attend. Now, I got to tell you, we have had Willard and Southeast campuses have had the highest number of parents tune in for our Go Live. And I think, that's a wonderful thing. I'm glad when any parent shows up. But I know that there's some other families across our other campuses. So go ahead and drop that in the chat. We'll tell you who the highest number of parents are at the end of our broadcast tonight. So without further ado, let me tell you about our agenda. So tonight, if you're tuning in for the first time, let me introduce myself. I'm Teresa Brown Sales, and I am the Director of Family Partnerships for our network of schools. And this is our network family-facing communication, which is not meant to replace your monthly parent meetings at your respective schools. We simply like to talk to you from our home office and let you know what our network-wide priorities are. So tonight we're going to meet about 4 things, and then I'm going to let you go. I want to give you an introduction to the Alumni Success Program here at Breakthrough Schools. Then I also want to tell you what younger families can do now to ensure that the high school choice of their scholar is something that is achievable, right? Like where they want to go, they have the ability to be, they have the requirements and meet the requirements to be able to be granted admission to the schools of their choice. Then we're going to talk to 8th grade families, and we're going to tell you what you need to know and do right now. Lastly, then we're going to talk about the 9th grade transitions and support from Breakthrough. So that's our lineup for tonight. And without further ado, I'm going to toss it to our leading lady and guest for the evening, Brittany Hurd.
Hi, everyone. How are you? It's so good to be here. I'm so excited to see your faces. My name is Brittany Hurd, and I am the Chief Alumni Success Officer for Beyond Breakthrough. I lead a phenomenal team of people, which I will chat about in a minute. But first, just to let you all know, I am coming to this work as a teacher and a principal coach. I have spent my entire career in education. It is so important to me. And now I get to step outside the K-8 space and think about how we're serving our students in high school, college, and workforce. And so,
Brittany, I think like if you look like you just left high school. So I'm having a little hard time when you saying you've been a teacher or prince, like how you do all that in 5 years, So
very funny. No, I was a teacher for 6 years. I was a principal for close to 4. And then I just really missed home. I'm born and raised in Cleveland, and I'm excited to serve the scholars of Cleveland again. And so being back here has been really, really wonderful.
You know what? And I'm so glad that you said that too. And then I'm going to let you get in because I too spent the bulk of my career outside of hometown. But it's funny how we have these full circle moments where
Yes.
we want to come back home and serve the kids from our own hometown. So yeah, I love homegrown success. But tell us more about this program because it's phenomenal. And I'm going to keep on interrupting because that's what I do. But go ahead.
Please do. Our program is backed up by the lovely people who you see on the screen. And so the way that we serve students at Beyond Breakthrough is by dividing them into cohorts. And so our first cohort are our K-8 students. And so we want to make sure that our K-8 scholars get access to career awareness activities,
Mm,
and have a smooth transition into high school. So we have the opportunity to partner with organizations like the Cleveland Clinic and
mm,
Magnet Manufacturing to expose
mm.
students to what is out there. What do you want to do in your career, which is a really challenging question. And so the whole team supports our scholars who are in the middle school buildings.
Mhm.
Um, we then support our students who are in high school. And so our alums go to 75 different high schools, but
Wow.
the
Across Ohio?
yeah, across northeastern Ohio, across the country actually, but the
Wow.
majority of our students go to a certain number of CMSD high schools, Catholic
Okay.
schools like Cleveland Central Catholic and St. Martin de Porres, and then some of our local private schools like Hawken, Gilmore, Beaumont
Mm,
University. And so we have a great team. The first three ladies that you see on the top are actually our high school program managers, and they
okay.
support, they like go into high schools, they will talk to alums, they will make sure that the alumni are taking advantage of Say Yes College Now, their counselors. Their job is really to make sure that by the time the student graduates, they have a path forward, whether that be college, whether that be getting your certificate, whether that be going into the workforce. We
Can
actually
I
have,
interrupt again?
yes, yes, please.
I think that's huge, Brittany, that like these are no longer our students, right? Like in most cases. In a traditional school would be like you graduate the eighth grade class, you might still talk to your favorite teacher once in a while, but here like we have a whole department that's dedicated to taking care of them in their next steps, right? Like, and this is their job. Their job is to make sure that those babies are successful in ninth grade and throughout high school. So I think like yes, there's so many things there, but someone actually keeping their eye on them and saying, did you go see here? Are you there? Just wrapping that support around them from breakthrough. I think that is, I just honestly do. I love that part of our organization. And I think that really shows our commitment to their success. Like we really are putting our money where our mouth is because this is people's everyday job to make
I'm
sure our
glad
babies make it
you're,
to high school.
yeah, no, I'm glad you're raising that because that is what I want the team to be for students. And I think so it's hard because you have this counselor or this college now
Yeah,
advisor.
yeah.
And sometimes you need to, I find this with my own kids, like sometimes you need to say something like 4, 5 times before it like
Yes.
really clicks.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
if Brianna, Jasmine, and Jada can be that like fourth or fifth time, then
Yes.
that's amazing. Um,
Yes.
the really cool thing for families who are interested in St. Martin is that Jada on the screen is actually on campus at St. Martin. And so
Mm.
we have 130 alumni who are currently attending St. Martin, which is
Wow. Oh,
amazing.
yes.
So she works with all of them. She meets with them. She makes sure that the work study is going well. I mean, she's truly
I love it.
a great resource for those students. And
Mm.
then, as our kids get older, they might decide to go to college or get a certificate. And we have a person on the ground here, Jillian Keller. She worked for CSU for over a decade. She has a wealth of knowledge, anything college.
Mm.
And she is at Tri-C one day a week, and she's at CSU one day a week. And so she meets with our college going alumni at those two
Wow.
places to just talk to them about finances, or are you taking the right classes, or is this what you want to do? And so we are getting in contact with a lot more alumni now that she has an office in both of those spaces. So that's really, really neat.
Oh, I love all of this. I mean, like y'all are making it virtually impossible, right? For our
Right.
babies, not like if they show up, we are gonna be there, right? I love
We
that.
are going to be there. Yes.
Absolutely.
And then the last, our oldest alumni, we have some alumni that are actually 28 who have graduated from our first
Um,
class of like 2009, I think. And so they need support in the workforce, in their career, in deciding, what is the right path, who can be supportive. And so we have a group of partner employers from across Northeastern Ohio who have, if an alumni applies to one of their organizations, they are promised a phone call. And
Mm,
coming from someone who has been ghosted after a job interview, it is a terrible feeling. And so to know that they are taking that extra step to be in contact with our alumni after they submit an application is really, really phenomenal.
yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that, that whatever career choice they take, there's some support, there's some resources. And I just think like, again, this is beyond, you're talking about 28-year-olds. And I also would like to note at this point, because I work with families, you're working with our scholars, which is families, right? Um, I boast about the fact that we're able to hire some family members, right?
Yes,
Like we have, I remember we hired someone in IT who has now been promoted to a manager. She's a mother of three at one of our campuses.
that's awesome.
We've hired some teachers. And so I think you too can boast about our alumni
We
also
can.
joining the workforce here at Breakthrough.
We can. We have had four total alumni work at our schools in some capacity, but currently we have two teachers, one at Glenville and one at Woodland Hills. And it is
Mhm.
just so amazing to see them in the hallway and like shout them out. They get really
Yes.
embarrassed, but it's
Yes.
still so exciting that they are teaching
Mhm.
students who can maybe see themselves in their teachers. And so we want to keep hiring more. We send out
Yes.
all of the jobs, post them online
Yes.
for our alums to see. The last person I think is really important, Teresa, to talk about is Nate, the director of data. And I say that it's really important because we have 2,738 alumni. We have almost as many alumni as we do students in the
Wow.
schools. And so Nate's job is really important. He makes sure that we have up-to-date email addresses and phone numbers and schools so that when we go in the system and we see an opportunity for one of our alum, we can very quickly find their information and send it out to them. So he is a really critical piece of the team. And
Yes.
yeah, that's how we have the most up-to-date info so that we can make sure that we're sending all this info out to them.
And I think like what you said, what you named is so important because our families do change and our people, we're all in transition. And sometimes we can unknowingly, not update information and then we
Yes.
could lose touch. And so to understand that we understand that, and so that we know we need to have our own systems built in that adjust and pivot. I think that's so cool. And even when you were speaking to the future of Breakthrough, which I think we're both excited about, we
Yes.
got a lot of secrets that we can't tell yet, but I think like what's so wonderful is us our us our between our alumni and our families becoming a part of the organization. And I
Yes.
think when you talk about 28-year-olds, what we see is the future of Breakthrough being stable. Like we are building a workforce, we're continuing. So I think
Yeah.
like families can also feel secure about staying at Breakthrough because our future is bright, right? And
Yeah.
stable, right? Like sustainable. I think that's a
Absolutely.
huge thing, right?
Yeah,
All
and
right,
I
tell
want
us about this
families
Cleveland
to
Clinic event.
feel, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, Teresa. Sorry.
Oh
I was
no,
just
you're
going to
fine.
say, I want families to feel like when we say kindergarten through career, we really mean it.
I love
Um,
it.
and this is an example, the pictures on the screen, the teachers in the buildings K through 8 do a beautiful job of teaching students.
Yeah.
And this was an opportunity for them to take some of their learning and be able to translate it into hands-on um,
Yeah.
healthcare related fields. And you can just see the joy on so many
Mhm.
of their faces. Like they had
Yes.
such an amazing opportunity. And we're doing this again, you all. So if you're a seventh and eighth grade family, Teresa is going to share some of this information with you at the end. We're so excited to be able to partner with Cleveland Clinic again so that they can have experiences like the ones that you're seeing on the screen right
Oh,
now.
absolutely. Thank you, Brittany. And I love that you all, you guys do some camps as well. Can you tell, oh, that's ninth grade transition. I don't want to go ahead of that. Because
Oh,
I know
that's
you,
okay.
okay.
But no, there are some other events too. So if you are, most of our programming right now is 7th and 8th grade for our scholars. And so we have our Transition Institute, which we'll talk about in a second, but then we also partner with Great Lakes Adventures, and students will have an opportunity to get some camping in and also get to experience some micro credentialing work. So things like graphic design, engineering, um,
Wow.
electricity, what else? Electronics. Oh gosh, I'm blinking. Animation, filmmaking. They're going to have an opportunity to spend 2 days out at camp and get hands-on exposure to some of those things. And so you'll hear more about that in the spring, but we're super excited. We also
That's
partner with,
amazing.
yeah, and CASE for engineering and Magnet for robotics and manufacturing. So there are really a lot of cool opportunities that are going to be coming down the pike for our middle schoolers.
And I think something that you particularly bring to the role is I love the early intervention approach to career that you bring to this work. So it's like you're not waiting to have this conversation in 11th grade, right?
Yeah,
And I'm sure our families are like, why are you talking? Why is it 6th and 7th grade, right? But
yeah,
we're trying to tee them up so that when they get in those spaces and it's time to apply, like they're ready to do these things. So, and they also have like an awareness of what they want to do, right? They've
yeah.
been exposed to options. And so that's what I love is we know that the data talks to us about, speaks well of the early intervention model, right? In
Yes.
terms of, so I love that all that intentionality and then how you guys have expanded into all the areas, the fields. I almost want to go camping. But I don't know if I want to be with middle schoolers that long. But or maybe I'll just come take
It's a
pictures.
little rustic, Teresa.
Right, right. Before we move on, one more thing I wanted to ask you about
Yeah.
was, can you tell me like two things? So I know that we have kind of talked about the program, but what would I've got two questions for you. What do eighth grade families need to know and do right now?
Mhm.
Because they're in this swing, right? And then also, would you speak to our families that have younger siblings in 6th and 7th grade? What do they, maybe even fifth? What do they need to be telling their kids? What are some look fors that they would, so that by the time they get to this eighth grade, they're ready and empowered to make the decisions that they want to do for their choice filled lives? So I know
Yeah,
that was a lot, but
I
can you
got
just
it.
kind of unpack that for me?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
So I'll start with the younger grades first
Okay.
because it goes with everyone. It is
Okay.
really, really critical for students to keep a B average or
Mm,
above.
okay.
Um, if your student is considering or might not be considering yet selective CMSD high school, like a John Hay Science and Medicine or Architecture and Design or early college, they ask for grades, they ask for student transcripts. And so they are going to see how your scholar has performed over their middle school years. And so it's
Mm,
really critical. The high school placement team calls it the big three. The
okay.
first is your character, making sure that you are coming into school every day, no suspensions, no detentions, you are upholding all the wonderful things that a breakthrough scholar should. The second is having those high grades and test scores. I'm sure some of you have had conversations in your schools about iReady. Those tests are really important in showing how much a scholar is growing and working towards grade level. So I would stay focused there. And then the last one is around attendance. It is so important for students to be on time and getting access to the whole school day so that they're not missing content. And we also share that data with some of our selective high schools. And so I would say that would be my biggest advice for our younger families. For our older families, for our eighth grade families, there is actually going to be a parent meeting on Wednesday, November 29th from 6 to 7. It's going to be a Zoom. Mr. Shumpert and Miss Lawson, our high school placement folks, are going to be leading that call. and they are
Okay.
going to use that time to talk about applications. The CMSD application portal actually opens very soon, December 4th.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yes. And so we want to make sure that you all have all the information that you need for that. Your scholar should be bringing home a QR code, and you can use that to log in to the session on the 29th.
Thank you,
Um,
Brittany. Would you give that again one more time? So that's Wednesday, the 29th. That's going to be
29th from 6
that's
to
after
7.
Thanksgiving, right?
After Thanksgiving, the first
Okay.
Wednesday back,
All right.
from 6 to 7. So that'll be full of really great information.
Good. Okay.
And then the last thing I'll share is if you were unable to come to the Breakthrough High School Fair, CMSD is going to be hosting a high school fair, and they changed the date, but Mr. Shumpert and Ms. Lawson will get that information to you in a
Okay.
flyer.
Okay.
And so if you're interested in just taking a look at what CMSD has to offer, that will be another option sometime in December. So we will share that information with you once we get it.
You know what, Brittany? It occurred to me. I know Say Yes is one of our partners. Is that correct?
Yes, they are.
So even if our kids didn't go to a selective CMSJ high school, but they wanted to go to their respective homeschools
Yep,
or CMSD, as long as those are Say Yes schools, they would qualify for the benefits that Say Yes gives. Is that correct?
that is 100% correct. Every
Awesome.
school in CMSD has Say Yes and College Now counselors that will be able to support students. But again, it's really important for that GPA to stay a B average or above so that our scholars can take advantage of all of those opportunities that exist for them.
Got you. Got you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know that took us off, but I wanted to make sure that
no,
parents
thank
kind of had
you.
some proactive things.
100%.
And one of the things in the Family Partnership Office that we talked about is, again, we've always did K-8, but our partnership with your office extends that care. And so Brittany and I, aside from the fact that we like each other, have decided to work more closely. So you'll see more programming that I'll join her programming when she's hosting something. And when she was also, I think for those of you who came to Family Culture Camp, you saw her and her team this summer. So we really are committed and we just love kids and we want to do what's best for kids. So you've been looking at this. Just want to have you save some dates. The Cleveland Clinic Foundation deadline program ends tomorrow. And that is your students have already had the access to this application period. They only are receiving 80 students. And so we want them to complete those applications in their best versions of themselves, right? Because it is, they will have to be go through a process of acceptance, right? And they will be notified if they make the program or if they don't. And I know that might sound harsh to families, but we want to do is give our children some micro opportunities to understand what application process feels and looks like, right? And so the difference is we provide feedback. We will actually go back to those families and say, baby, next time when you're asked this question, or this is how you complete it, right? So we will tell you either way. If we have so many, we'll do a wait list. And many times things happen and we're able to call people from our wait list. So be encouraged. Take a shot and go for it. Also, just reminding you that our Thanksgiving break begins on Wednesday, so we will have the day off before Thanksgiving. We don't have to be exhausted, right? We can actually have our food ready by the time the holiday comes. And then just long range, our winter break begins on December 18th. All right. Lastly, this is how you can get in touch with me in the Family Partnership Office. And even if you don't want to talk to me, but you're trying to find someone at Breakthrough, like Brittany and the various other people, feel free to either call that number, 216-302-0591, or you can shoot me an email at family@breakthroughschools.org. And I will direct you to the people that you need to, that you want to speak with. And so with that, Brittany, I want to thank you for taking time out. I know I was right in your put baby down to bed bath time hour, but I want to thank you for your commitment to just be what our families need. And sometimes we have to do things outside of our work hours. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for
And
having me.
certainly, certainly. And I'm just going to keep on bugging you because whenever I call you, you always say yes, which, kind of creates a habit. And then lastly, we just want to show, I think the last slide is just our gratitude to our families. We know that everyone, during holidays can bring a different feeling for everybody. And I know just in our world, it's been quite challenging. And so, to our families who have experienced loss or grief or much transition, know that here at Breakthrough Schools, we do care about you, and we have many programs in place to try to comfort and support with resources. And we have people here with big hearts that actually care about humans. So we wish you the best. Thank you for joining us tonight. You have our contact information, and I hope that you're able to take this information and use it so that we can work together, partner together here at Breakthrough Schools. And with that, good night, Brittany.
Good
Thank you
night,
so much.
everyone. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right. All right. Did you stop recording? You're the best ever. 9:58.